The forest floor was soft and quiet under his boots. Ryan moved like a shadow between the twisted red trees, eyes scanning every broken branch, every fresh claw mark. He was hunting again. Not for meat, not for money. This time it was for something else. Something no human had dared go after alone before. She had a name among her people, but the humans only knew her as the tigress, a predator, a myth, a ghost wrapped in fur and war paint. She'd taken down entire squads, tracked their drones, destroyed their camps, vanished without leaving a trail. The military called her a high-risk target, but to Ryan she was something more. She had spared him once, and that moment haunted him since. She could have killed him. She didn't. Now he needed to know why. He set the trap in silence, thin wires hidden in moss, a faint heat trail to attract her attention, a fresh scent of iron and smoke carried by a wind drone. Ryan wasn't just hunting. He was luring her in. Hours passed. He didn't move. Even his breathing stayed quiet, like he had trained himself not to exist. Then he felt it. The air changed. The birds stopped singing. A rustle came from above, not from below. She was in the trees. He turned his head slightly and locked eyes with her. Golden slits, sharp and full, of anger and confusion. She dropped from the branch like a whisper, but her foot caught the wire. The trap snapped. It didn't hurt her, but it yanked her downward into the pit. Ryan stood. She hissed and tried to leap up, but the pit was too narrow, the sides too slick. He stepped forward slowly. "You remember me?" he asked. Her sharp ears twitched. She didn't speak, but she didn't attack either. He tossed down a thermal blanket, then lowered himself beside the edge. "I didn't come to kill you," he said. "I came to talk." The tigress bared her teeth. Her tail flicked once, tense. "I owe you my life," he continued. "You let me live when your tribe tore through my squad." "Why?" Still no answer. She crouched low, like a beast ready to spring. Ryan reached into his pack and pulled out a ration bar. He tossed it to her. She sniffed it with suspicion, then snatched it. As she ate, her muscles stayed tight, her eyes never leaving him. "I'm not here as a soldier," he said. "Not today." She swallowed. Her voice came low and strange. "Then why did you trap me?" He looked at her honestly. "Because you'd never stop if I just called out." She tilted her head. "You're bold, human." He smiled. "Maybe stupid." There was silence. The moonlight filtered through the trees. Her face had markings, not paint. Natural stripes. Her features were fierce, but beautiful. And suddenly, her gaze shifted. "What do you really want?" she asked. He paused, heartbeat loud in his ears. "I want to understand." Her eyes narrowed. She leaned closer, the tip of her nose almost brushing his. "Understand what?" she whispered. "Why you spared me. Why I can't stop thinking about it. Why you didn't kill me, and why you're not killing me now." She blinked. Then, to his shock, she blushed. A deep color rose beneath the stripes on her cheeks. She turned her face slightly, but he saw it. He had expected rage, a strike, maybe death. But instead, she looked away. "You smell strange," she muttered, and for the first time Ryan realized the trap wasn't for her. It had been for him. Ryan didn't move. The tigress sat in the shallow pit, silent now, her face turned away. But her ears twitched. She heard every sound he made, every heartbeat. She had stopped growling. That scared him more than anything. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," Ryan said carefully. She gave no reply. "I didn't know your kind could blush." She looked back at him, this time with fire in her eyes. "We don't," she said. "Not unless it's something rare." He blinked. "Something rare?" She stood slowly. The pit wasn't deep enough to truly trap her, just enough to keep her from vanishing. Now, standing in the moonlight, she didn't look like a hunter. She looked like someone deciding whether to run Or stay. You ask questions no human has asked before, she said. Ryan stayed quiet, sensing this was not the time to speak. You want to understand me, she added. But do you even understand yourself? The question cut deeper than her claws ever could. Ryan looked down at his hands, scarred, dirty, still shaking from the adrenaline. No, he admitted. She stepped closer. I was trained to hate humans, she whispered. You came to our world with fire and machines. You called us creatures. You set traps, you poisoned rivers. Ryan nodded. And yet, you spared me. She stared at him for a long moment. Her eyes searched his face like she was trying to decide what he really was. Because you didn't fight back, she finally said. You dropped your weapon and covered a wounded hatchling. One of ours. He remembered. The little creature had been crushed under fallen metal during the battle. While his team fired wildly, Ryan had thrown himself over the small alien body, shielding it. His commander had called him a fool for wasting time. But I didn't know she was watching, he whispered. I wasn't supposed to be, she said. I was tracking your squad. When I saw you do that, I froze. That was the first time I hesitated. And now? He asked. She sighed and looked up at the stars. I'm hesitating again. A long silence stretched between them. Then she stepped closer, close enough that he could feel her body heat in the cool night air. Why did you come back alone, Ryan? She asked. He looked into her golden eyes and didn't blink. Because I had to see you again. I needed to know if I imagined that moment, if you were real, if what I felt was real. She tilted her head. What did you feel? He swallowed hard. Hope. Her eyes widened. She looked away quickly. I've never met a human like you, she said. And I've never met anyone like you, he replied. Suddenly, her ears twitched again. Her eyes narrowed. She turned and climbed halfway up the pit wall, sniffing the air. They followed you, she hissed. Soldiers. Ryan's heart dropped. No, I came alone. They tracked your heat trail, she said. They're not far. He stood and reached for her hand. She looked at it like it was fire, then slowly took it. Then we run, he said. She nodded once. Follow me. I know a path they won't find. She climbed out first, her claws gripping the bark as she moved fast and low. Ryan followed, feet silent, heart racing. He had set the trap, but he had no idea it would lead to this. Now the hunter and the hunted were running side by side, and deep in his chest, something wild had started to grow, something he didn't understand yet. But he knew it was real, and it had golden eyes. Branches snapped behind them. Ryan ran just a step behind the tigress, heart pounding louder than his boots against the forest floor. She moved like wind through the trees, fast and silent. He struggled to keep up, but didn't dare fall behind. They're not using lights, she whispered. They're close. How many? He asked. 4, she said without slowing. Elite trackers, sent to kill me. No, he said, breath short. They think I went rogue. They're here for me too. She didn't answer, just ran. Faster. Ryan knew the soldiers chasing them wouldn't hesitate. They were trained to shoot first, especially if they saw him with her. Human or not, he would be marked as compromised. A traitor. Where are we going? He asked. There's a hidden tunnel, she said. My people used it during the last war. Ryan nodded and pushed harder. Finally, they reached a wall of thick vines. The tigress slashed them away with her claws, revealing a narrow stone. Opening in the ground, go, she said. He dropped inside without question. The space was cold and tight, the air damp. She followed, pulling the vines back into place behind them. Darkness swallowed them whole. They didn't speak for a while. Only their breathing filled the narrow tunnel. Ryan's back brushed against stone. He couldn't see her, but he could feel her beside him. Then her voice came softly. You really didn't bring anyone else? No, he said. I gave up everything to come back. Silence again. Then she touched his arm. Her clawed fingers moved carefully over his skin. "I believe you," she said. Ryan felt something strange in his chest, not fear, not relief, something warmer, like a flame that refused to die. "You could have left me behind," he said. "So could you," she replied. The tunnel began to slope downward. The smell of moss and wet earth filled the air. After a few turns, faint blue light glowed ahead. They stepped into a large chamber hidden under the roots of a massive tree. Glowing crystals lined the walls. Water trickled down one side. It looked ancient, sacred. "My ancestors built this," she said. "It's beautiful," Ryan whispered. She looked at him. "You're the first human to see it, and still be breathing." He chuckled lightly. "I'm honored." The tigress lowered herself onto a smooth rock, her body tired but alert. Ryan sat across from her. "I don't understand," he said. "Why didn't you just leave me to them? You could have disappeared." She looked at him, eyes serious. "Because I wanted to know too." He raised an eyebrow. "Know what?" "Why I spared you. Why you mattered." Their eyes locked. The space between them felt smaller now. The cold cave seemed warmer. "I don't know what this is," she admitted, "but I don't want to run from it anymore." Ryan's heart thudded. Neither of them said the word. Not yet. But it was growing between them. Something stronger than survival. Something older than war. Then a sound broke the stillness. A beep. A distant crackle of a comm unit. Ryan stiffened. "They're scanning the surface," he said. "Thermals, drones." "We don't have much time," she said. He stood. "Then we go deeper." She gave him a long look. "If we go that way, we won't be able to come back. Not easily." He reached out his hand again. "I didn't come to go back." This time she took his hand without hesitation. Together, they walked into the depths, into the unknown. And for the first time, neither of them felt alone. The tunnel narrowed again. Their footsteps echoed quietly through the stone path. The deeper they went, the more the air changed. It smelled older now, untouched by war or machines. Strange, glowing moss-lined parts of the wall casting a soft light on their faces. Ryan kept glancing at her. The tigress walked ahead of him, her movements more careful than before. She was thinking, planning, but her tail flicked with tension. "Are you sure we're safe here?" he asked. "No," she said. "But it's better than up there." They reached a wider chamber. A pool of still water reflected the crystal glow like glass. The sound of dripping echoed around them. Ryan sat by the edge, finally letting out a long breath. She crouched beside him, watching his reflection. "I've never been this deep," she said quietly. "In the tunnels? In this feeling," she corrected. He looked at her. "You mean fear?" She shook her head. "No, something else. Something I can't name." He knew the feeling too well. It had been growing since the first time she let him live, since the moment their eyes met again in the trap. It was no longer just curiosity. It was trust and something more. "What will your people do if they find out you helped me?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. "They'll exile me," she said at last. "Or worse. And mine would kill me," he said. They sat in silence. Two enemies, hunted by both sides, but neither moved away from the other. She leaned forward and dipped her fingers in the water. "Do you know what this pool is?" she asked. He shook his head. "It's called the Mirror of Flesh, a sacred place. It shows only what's real. It's where warriors used to take oaths before battle." Ryan looked down. In the reflection, he saw himself beside her. Not as a soldier, not as a spy, just a man, lost in a world that had stopped making sense. She looked at their reflection too. "We shouldn't be here together," she said. "But we are." He reached out, gently taking her hand. She didn't pull away. Their fingers stayed locked. Then the water shifted. A ripple moved across the surface. The tigress pulled her hand back. Something's coming. Ryan stood up. Can they track us here? No, not them. She reached for a small knife on her belt. Her ears twitched again. Suddenly, a shape appeared in the tunnel behind them. It was tall, thin, wearing armor that shimmered like liquid stone. Her eyes widened. No, not him. Who is it? Ryan whispered. My brother. The figure stepped into the chamber. His eyes glowed faintly under the mask. Sora, the tigress said, standing up straight. You shouldn't be here. He spoke in a low growl. You've broken our law. I did what I had to, she replied. You bonded with a human, he said. You know what that means. Ryan stepped forward. I'm not here to hurt her. Sora looked at him like he was already dead. You already have, he said coldly. Then he raised his hand. A sharp spear formed in it, glowing blue with energy. The tigress moved between them. Don't. But Sora didn't stop. If you protect him, he said, then you are no longer one of us. The tigress stood firm. Then so be it. Ryan couldn't breathe. This wasn't a fight he could win, but it wasn't her fight alone either. He stepped beside her, 2 against 1, hunter and human, and the battle line was drawn. The air cracked with tension. Sora's spear hummed with power. Its blue light reflected in the still water behind them. The tigress stood with her shoulders tight, tail still, eyes fixed on her brother. I won't let you kill him, she said. He's human, Sora growled. He's not meant for you. Ryan stepped beside her, fists clenched. I'm not here to take anything. I just want peace. Sora's laugh echoed coldly through the chamber. There is no peace, only survival. You made her weak, he spat. She made me stronger, Ryan replied. Sora roared and hurled the spear. The tigress shoved Ryan aside and caught the spear midair. The force pushed her back, but she stayed standing, her claws digging into the stone. Sora looked stunned. You taught me how to fight, she said, but you forgot I can think for myself. She twisted the spear and snapped it in 2. Sora's eyes narrowed. You've chosen. The tigress nodded. I've chosen. Sora stepped back slowly. Then your blood is no longer mine. He turned and vanished into the shadows. Ryan ran to her. Are you okay? She dropped the broken pieces of the spear and looked at him with heavy eyes. I am. But now I've truly lost my people. He touched her arm gently. Then let's find a new path together. She looked at his hand on her arm, then at his face. You still don't know what you've stepped into. Maybe not, he said. But I'm not leaving. Her gaze softened. You should be afraid. I am, he admitted. But not of you. She let out a slow breath. Then come with me. They moved deeper into the tunnel system, passing roots and stone, until they reached a chamber with strange symbols on the walls. A giant carving stood at the center, 2 figures, one human and one alien, standing together. What is this place? Rian asked. She ran her fingers across the carving. A story forgotten by both sides, an ancient bond. Long ago our ancestors once stood side by side, before war, before hatred. No one ever told us that, he said, because it was buried, hidden, she replied. Our leaders feared the truth. He stared at the carving. The human in the image held something in his hand, a flame, a sign of hope. You think we could be that again? He asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she turned and stepped closer to him. I don't know, she said. But I want to try. Nodded. Then we try. Their moment was cut short by a tremble in the floor. Boom! The tunnel shook. What was that? Ryan asked. She stepped back, tense. Explosives. They're collapsing the entrance. They're sealing us in? Or burying us alive, she said. We need a way out, he said quickly. She looked around. There's a tunnel that leads to the surface, but it's dangerous. Worse than waiting here to die? He asked. No, she said. Let's move. They rushed toward a narrow path lit by flickering crystals. The walls grew tighter. The sounds behind them grew louder, rumbling rocks and falling debris. As they climbed, the air became fresher. Wind. Then a beam of moonlight broke through a hole above. There, she shouted. Ryan boosted her up and she reached back to pull him through. Together they stumbled into the forest again just as the ground behind them gave way. Dust filled the air. They both coughed, laying on their backs under the stars. Alive. Bruised. Together. She looked at him, chest rising and falling. You still think this was just a trap? She asked with a small smile. He smiled back, eyes soft. If it was, I'm glad I walked into it. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Ryan sat beside her under the moonlight, both of them catching their breath. Dust still clung to their clothes and their muscles ached from climbing out of the collapsed tunnel. But it wasn't over. She raised her head slowly, ears twitching. They're coming, she said. How can you tell? No insects, no birds. The forest holds its breath when machines move. Ryan stood and scanned the trees. He could barely see past the glowing leaves, but his instincts told him she was right. We need shelter, he said. She pointed north. Old ruins not far. They moved fast, side by side through the thick underbrush. Every step felt like a heartbeat stolen from fate. Behind them, far, in the dark, flashes of red light blinked between the trees. Human patrols. Drones sweeping wide. After 20 minutes, they found it. Stone arches covered in moss. Broken walls wrapped in vines. Nature had taken most of the place, but parts of it still stood. In here, she said. They slipped into a dark hall, one side half collapsed. Ryan sat with his back against a cracked pillar. She stood by the entrance, eyes glowing faintly as she watched the trees. They'll search here soon, she said. They'll follow your scent. He looked down. I thought I was careful. You were, she replied. But they use old blood. Yours is marked. What does that mean? She turned to him, face serious. You're a target now, not just for helping me, for what you are. He frowned. What I am. She walked toward him slowly. Your blood has changed. The mirror of flesh saw it. That's why the pool rippled. You bonded. Bonded? He repeated. With me, she said quietly. His breath caught. You mean, like a connection? She nodded. Stronger than loyalty. Deeper than reason. It's rare. Almost lost. But it happened. He stared at her. And what does that mean for us? She knelt beside him. It means we share something now. If you hurt, I feel it. If I'm in danger, you sense it. It's how our ancestors once stood together. But now it's forbidden. Ryan leaned back, trying to understand. That's why Sora looked at me like that. Like I wasn't human anymore. To them, you're not. You're something worse, a human who crossed the line. She looked at him closely. Are you afraid? He nodded. Yes. But not of the bond. I'm afraid of what they'll do to you because of me. She touched his cheek gently. And I'm afraid of losing you. Before he could answer, something buzzed overhead. A drone. They both dropped to the ground, crawling under a collapsed section of the wall. The drone hovered outside, scanning, its red eye glowing in the dark. Don't move, she whispered. The drone floated slowly past, then turned and drifted away. They waited until the sound faded. Ryan let out a breath. That was too close. We won't get another warning, she said. We need to go deeper, away from the patrol zones. Where? She hesitated, then said, to the Ashlands. No tech works there. It's the only place they won't follow. It's dangerous, isn't it? He asked. She looked him in the eyes. Very. He reached for her hand. Then we go together. She took his hand, squeezing gently. They stood up, side by side, stepping out of the ruins. Behind them, the drones circled again. Ahead, the ashlands waited, poison winds, dead land, and maybe a chance at freedom. But only if they survived. The sky changed color above them. The trees ended suddenly, replaced by flat, cracked earth. The ashlands stretched in every direction. Dry wind howled low across the broken ground. The soil was gray, lifeless, like something had once burned the world from underneath. Ryan covered his mouth with a cloth. She didn't. "This place is cursed," he said. She nodded. "Yes, but only to machines. Here, tech fails. Drones can't fly, weapons jam. Your side avoids it. So does mine." Ryan stepped forward carefully. "And we're just walking into it?" "It's the only way we disappear," she replied. They walked for hours. The heat rose from the ground like breath. Strange shapes peeked out from the dirt. Old bones. Broken towers, shattered armor buried halfway in ash. "What happened here?" Ryan asked. "Long ago," she said. "There was a battle between two species. One used fire that burned even the soul. This was the battlefield." "And the bond?" he asked. "Did that start here too?" She didn't answer, but her silence was loud. They reached a stone ridge as night fell. A half-destroyed temple stood in the distance, half sunk into the earth. It pulsed faintly, with a soft red glow. "We rest there," she said. Inside, the temple was quiet. Symbols lined the walls, same as the ones he saw earlier. The same two figures, alien and human, locked together in light. But here, the carvings showed more. At the end of the story, they stood against armies. Together. Ryan reached out and touched the last panel. The figures were holding hands. One was wounded. "This was real, wasn't it?" he whispered. She stood beside him. It was. But history hid it. Fear replaced memory. He turned to her. "But we remembered. Somehow." "Yes," she said, "because truth finds its way." They sat together in the temple's center. A fire burned gently in a stone circle. No machines, just warmth. She leaned against him. "Ryan," she said softly, "do you feel it too?" He looked at her. "Yes. Every moment since the trap. I feel like I was meant to meet you." She closed her eyes. "So do I." For the first time, they allowed the silence to stay. No fear, no running, just presence. Then a sharp sound cracked the night. A whistle. Ryan jumped up. She was already standing, claws out, eyes narrowed. "They found us?" he asked. "No," she said. "That's not a human call." Another whistle echoed. 3 figures emerged from the shadows. Aliens like her, but older, robed, their faces marked with deep symbols. She gasped. "Elders." They bowed their heads. One of them stepped forward. His voice was deep, almost like a song. "The bond has awakened," he said. She lowered her claws slowly. "You knew?" "We have waited for it to return," he replied. Ryan stepped beside her, confused. "Waited? For what?" The elder looked at him. "For the flame to pass into a new pair. Human and beast, once again joined. You are the first in many generations." Rion frowned. "But everyone wants to kill us." "Because they fear what they do not remember," the elder said. "But the old ways do not forget." Another elder approached. She held a small glowing stone in her hand. "If you accept the bond fully," she said, "you will awaken power not seen in centuries." "What kind of power?" Ryan asked. The tigress looked at the stone. Her expression was calm. "Enough to stop the war," she said. He met her eyes. The bond had changed everything, and now it could decide the future. He nodded. "Then we do it." The elder stepped back. Together, he and the tigress reached out and touched the stone. It pulsed once, Then the world changed. The moment their hands touched the stone, light exploded around them. Ryan gasped as energy surged through his body. It wasn't painful. It was like heat, memory, and thunder rolled into one. Images flashed in his mind. Battles long forgotten. Creatures he'd never seen. A time when humans and her kind stood side by side, not as enemies, but as one. The tigress stood frozen too, her eyes glowing. Her breathing deepened. Her claws flexed and trembled. Then slowly she exhaled. The stone dimmed. Silence returned. But something had changed. Ryan looked at his hands. Faint lines of light traced his skin, like old markings returning from deep within his blood. She turned to him. "You feel it too?" He nodded. "It's like I'm not just me anymore." "You're not," one of the elders said. "Now, you are both something new." A low rumble echoed across the sky above them. The elders looked up. "They followed your trail after all," the elder woman said. "Machines, guns, war," the tigress growled low. "They won't stop." "No," Ryan said. "But we don't have to run anymore." He turned to her. "Let's finish what the old one started." She nodded. Together, they left the temple. The wind had shifted again. In the distance, shadows moved. Soldiers in black armor, gunships above. And from the east, her people, beasts in armor, their eyes glowing with suspicion and hate. Both sides had come to destroy them. But now, they stood in the open, not hiding, not afraid. The first to move was a soldier. He raised his rifle and aimed at Ryan's chest. Before the trigger was pulled, the ground cracked. A wave of light rippled outward from the bond mark on Ryan's chest. It struck the rifle, and the metal melted into dust. The soldier screamed and fell back. The other weapons began to jam, spark, and fall apart. On the alien side, the beasts froze. The tigress stepped forward, eyes burning with energy. "I am not your enemy," she called. "And neither is he." Her voice echoed louder than wind, deeper than machines. "We carry the old fire," she said. "We carry the bond." Ryan stepped. Beside her, his own voice strong. "You fear us because you were told to. But the truth was hidden, and now it returns." The sky thundered. More soldiers began to retreat, confused, afraid. The beasts lowered their weapons slowly, and in the middle of it all, the tigress reached out and held Ryan's hand in front of everyone. They did not speak. They didn't have. To the bond spoke louder than any language. From that moment, the war changed. Not with guns, not with violence, but with truth. The bond between two souls, different blood, different skin, but the same heart. Ryan and the tigress became symbols across both sides. The last bond reborn. A story once buried now lived again in fire and light. Some still feared them, some still hated, but more began to question. And when the war finally stopped, it wasn't because someone won. It was because someone remembered. Ryan never went back to Earth. And she never returned to her old tribe. They built something new, together, in a world where a trap became a meeting, and a battle turned into a bond.